I'd like to call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Alderman Knox.
Here.
Alderman Bray.
Here.
Alderman Skinner.
Here.
Alderman Soul.
Here.
Alderman Lindbergh.
Here.
Alderman Myers.
Here.
There's a quorum.
Next item is invocation, followed by the pledges of allegiance by Alderman Skinner.
He may not be.
Might not be here. Might just be straight to the pledge.
Ken, you doing it? Or?
Straight to the pledge. Here we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is the approval of the agenda.
We did have one item we'd like to change. That was removing resolution 2635. We'll put that on a future board meeting agenda.
Okay, we need a motion to remove resolution 26-35.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? No. Okay. Need a voice vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay. Next item is proclamations. Seeing none, we'll move on to the public comment. Public comment. Anyone wishing to speak, please come up to the podium, state your name for the public record. Be sure to sign in on the sheet in the back. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shelby Woodstock. I live off of Northwest Woodbury Drive. I come forward today not to debate, not to bring forth, but to bring forth a concern that will be put on the record. Concern over a system called flock safety. Most people know that anyone, including the police, can record in public. The Fourth Amendment doesn't stop basic street cameras, but what's happening now with systems like flock goes beyond a simple recording. That is where the constitutional issues start. Traditional surveillance versus modern analytics. Old model, a stationary camera recording whatever passes by. Low expectation of privacy, limited data. New model, automated systems that continuously identify, track, and analyze movements across entire cities. They store and collect large amounts of data over time, basically generating a detailed pattern of life for anyone that passes a lens. That level of analysis creates what legal scholars would call a mosaic. This wasn't possible with traditional surveillance. Why does this matter for the Fourth Amendment? The key question is whether combining and analyzing massive amounts of public footage violates a reasonable expectation of privacy. Most should argue that this turns into a warrantless type of search. Did you know in April of this year, Oshkosh, Wisconsin council members revoked flock approval after just 1 day? 1 day after Flock's information officer lied about Flock systems creating patterns or heat maps on individual vehicles. While data is conflicting, it's been reported that there are as low as 53 and up to 82 communities so far that have terminated or refused to renew Flock contracts, 3 of which are Seneca, Dutchtown, and Weston, Missouri. This was after concern arose when Joplin Police Department was investigated for former officer Kenneth Anderson, who ran multiple plates simultaneously nearly 400 times. While I understand in a small way the original vote in favor of the contract, what I don't understand is based off the May 11th meeting, only one person in this meeting brought up legitimate questions over concerns for the system. Questions, I might add, that have yet to be answered, at least on public record, by Chief Turner. In the February 12, 2024 meeting, it is noted that Mike Todd asked if customers are identifiable, to which Chief Turner responded first with, "There will be internal audits if there is concern." While the contract has already been renewed, I pray my concerns as a citizen of this community have not fallen on ears that don't hear and eyes that don't see. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Nope. Next up is the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda. Second.
We have a first and a second. Next up, we need a vote. Okay, need a voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Next up is previous business, new business, and seeing none, we'll move on to presentations. There's an auditor present by Trout, Beeman and Company.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. My name is Mike Roshuk. I'm with the CPA firm Trout, Beeman and Company. We've served as your auditors now for a fair amount of time. I'm gonna say 15 years maybe. It goes back to Mr. Todd's first term. Back then, I've worked on your account over the years as well. I've done a couple board presentations as well. I would like to say we did join with Hood and Associates on January 1st, but this audit was still on Trout Beeman, conducted as Trout Beeman. So next year, the audit letterhead will be Hood and Associates versus Trout Beeman. We liked Hood and Associates. They let us keep our Harrisonville office. They pretty much let us run our engagements and let our staff who've been working with you on your accounts continue to work on our accounts. They really have not impeded that. They did design their company a little bit differently. Mr. Beeman is now on the tax side, and I have been on the audit side, and so I'm taking over as audit partner on all the accounts, and so that's why I came to do your presentation this year. I also work with Tri-County. I've seen Mr. Murphy over the years there, and I've been and done a couple presentations. So with that being said, we did conduct your December 31st, 2025 audit. You should have in front of you. I will just do a quick summary type presentation. You, of course, can ask any questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll get back to you. And we can talk about anything you like. So you should have a bound copy of the annual audits, the financial statements and the notes. And then you should also have one letter to those in governance. After Enron and WorldCom, we have to issue a communication to those in governance that you had an audit, because believe it or not, some people don't always know they had an audit. Now, you know you had an audit because I'm standing here in front of you, but some other organizations may not. And so that's what that communication is. If there was any significant disagreements with management, any significant changes in accounting policies, anything that we think you should know about, that would be in that letter. We really didn't have any of those type of issues. After that, you've got the bigger document, which is the financial statements. The city has an annual audit. You have it for a couple reasons. You do have some debt agreements that require it. You do have a proprietary fund. So in the state of Missouri, you should have an audit on that. And then also as a general accountability to your citizens, and then occasionally for grant agreements. So several reasons why the city has an annual audit. Wireless. Roman numerals 5 through 16, I guess, XVI. That is the city's management discussion and analysis. That is a written report that's prepared by management, discusses more in layman's terms the financial affairs of the city, maybe pointing out some significant changes or things that are happening during the year. You can read that sometime. It does provide some useful information, and also it's a good way of storing information for the years for those looking back like 20, 30 years from now. On pages 1, 2, and 3, you have your independent auditor's report. That is Trout, Beeman and Company. Again, this year was on Trout, Beeman letterhead. Next year will be on Hood and Associates letterhead. But the city does prepare its financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, which you've always done since we've been working with you. And it is a clean opinion. It just takes 3 pages to say that. So after that, pages 4 and 5. In the commercial world, you kind of call it a consolidated balance sheet or income statement. That's really what you got going here. You have all the governmental
funds, assets, and liabilities listed on page 4, and your business type, activities, your water and sewer for the grand total. So someone can kind of see at a glance on the full accrual basis what the assets and liabilities are. You do have just some quick point outs. Cash, 24 million of cash and 3 million restricted. It's almost exactly the same as last year. It was about 25 and 3 restricted last year. Then also on the equity side, the net position side, you have almost 40 million on the governmental side, 21 million on the business side for a total of 61. The majority of that is invested in your capital assets, about 30 million on the governmental activities, 10.5 on the business type. Page 5 is the statement of activities, or a look at more of the consolidated income statement for the city as a whole. Expenses on the left side for the governmental activities, those are financed with charges for services, operating grants, and then capital grants. The operating grants does include the state's sales taxes and some of your ARPA money. Then it comes on over that the expenses are over those, and the rest is financed with property taxes mainly, and then sales taxes, tax revenue. Investment earnings, you had $685,000 for the year, coming down to a change in net position of $1.8 million for the governmental activities on the accrual basis. Next column over was the business activities. You'll see that balance sheet and income statement later. But again, the water and sewer fund was almost break even, but not quite. Some of that depends on the water per some of those types of repairs that you end up doing. Then on page 6 is the balance sheet for the governmental funds. The city does have 6 major funds: general, park, transportation, ARPA, debt service, and the new one this year was your downtown capital improvement. On the capital side, you did do some projects there. You did have some ARPA money, not maybe quite as much as last year, and that tends to flow in and out. Each year, some up, some down. But the downtown capital improvement was the new major fund this year. ARPA, you do receive that money. It has to be spent, I think, the remaining of it has to be spent, I believe, by the end of 2026. So that has been deferred. It's moved to revenue when you actually make the expenditures. So that should be cleared out in 26. Then if you went to page 10, you'd have the statement of revenues and expenditures. The general fund total revenues about 5.1 million. Expenditures were 5.4. And then you did have some proceeds from sale of assets and transfers in. Coming to net change in fund balance of $173,000 this year. And then the other major funds are presented: the park, transportation, ARPA, debt service, downtown capital. And on page 13 and 14, you have the proprietary fund. It's a combination of your water and sewer services. You have it presented in one fund. We do break it out somewhat later with some segment information later on in the notes, but it is presented still as a one fund. No new debt this year. 5.9 in services, 6.8 in expenses. Water, as is customary, water purchases is the large ticket item, followed by personnel. Did have good interest income of $419,000. Decrease in net position of $389,000. Last year it was a small positive because it didn't spend quite as much on some of the services. Then for the next, let's go from pages 19 to 50 is notes to financial statements. Pretty consistent with how you've been reporting. Some you might find interesting, I'll point out to you. Note 2 on page 29, deposits and investments. Being a municipality in the state of Missouri, the city does have to pledge its collateral for its cash, either in the form of securities, FDIC insurance. And the city did have we had about 24 million in bank balances, and it was all properly secured, so you did comply with that state law. Believe it or not, every once in a while you do have a bank have issues. It's been a while, but every once in a while you do. But that is a state law that you should properly pledge those cash balances. Then note 4 on page 32 shows the capital asset activity for the governmental funds. You did have about 2.3 million in projects that you started that haven't been placed in service yet. That'll probably be completed next year. And then on the next page 33 is the business activities, not quite as much in that fund. 66,000 construction in progress and 303,000 in additions. Page 34, note 5, pension urine loggers. We won't go through all that. The one number I do like to point out, though, if you went to page 35, or if you went to your government-wide balance sheet on page 4, pension, you do have a pension deferred asset, basically, of actually a liability of about 37,000 of actual pension liability, and then flowing in and out with 444,000 of assets that aren't covered yet, or liabilities that are not covered yet by assets. So it would be about a 440,000 change in the asset where it was, so about a $956,000 liability at the end of the year for pension if you liquidated the fund right away. In Missouri is one of the better funded ones, so, and they can only by law charge you so much, so it's better than Capers and some of the other states around, but it is and it changes, it's been changing with investment returns. And sometimes cities, they'll have fire, they'll have police, they'll have other pension funds as well. Then on page 6 is the long-term, or page 42, note 6. Maybe it's 39. It starts with the debt activity. Again, you did not have any new long-term debt in 25. You simply paid on your old. You did have some subscription liabilities where you signed up with some software. You had some police software, maybe some technology software, but had some of that, but no bond issues. Just paid on your old debt. You do have some debt covenants. You have to fund some sinking funds, maintain some rate covenants, and you complied with those. Note 9 on page 45, restricted cash. If you are interested in that, you can see the various restrictions you have. The tax deposits, I'll make a comment on that. Because you're a calendar year in, you receive your property tax money from your county, you actually receive what you're receiving in November and December is really for the next year. So that's what that $1.1 million represents. It's money received in advance. And you consistently do that year after year. Note 10 on page 45 just breaks down the tax revenues. Gives you some idea what's coming from property, sales, other. Note 10 is your assessed value, $387,000. Sometimes getting to the assessed value number is a challenge with Jackson County issues, but you're about $387,000. Then you have your tax levies. Note 11, interfund balances and transfers, just shows the movement between the funds. Cities, once you get to a certain size, you often do move money between funds. This gives you a summary of that activity for the year. And note 12, I like intergovernmental revenue on page 48. Shows you what you're receiving from governmental entities. For instance, the ARPA funds, $200,000 this year. That was $1.1 million last year. So that can vary a lot. And then you can see your Department of Revenue sales and fuel taxes that the state passes on to you. Note 18 on page 51, that's that segment information where the city does a good job of with its chart of accounts of tracking the revenues between the funds in case you wanted to come to some how each fund is performing on its own as opposed to combined. And so we present some key information there on water and sewer. We present logger supplemental information, and then starting on page 57, we present the budgets, the actual for the year. Page 57 is the general fund. In summary, you were pretty close to your budgeted revenues, $200,000 less, and you were $300,000 less on expenditures from your budget. And then it just goes through your various funds with their budget actuals. The only thing I'll count on page 60 is the ARPA. The reason that budgeted fund balance is so low is because, remember, there will be deferred revenue that'll be being freed up that'll be could have been budgeted as revenues for that. And then the expenditures didn't happen this year anyway, so. But they'll be cleared out next year. That really was my presentation. We found the records to be in good order. It was easy to audit, very responsive. We've had the same staff on your account now for many years, Brandon and Tina. I have worked off and on as a partner on your engagement. I did work as partner on your engagement this year. Thought it was completed in a timely manner for you to give the document to the state and to your dead folks. Anything you'd like to ask?
I've got a question for you. Help me understand water and sewer and our operating loss of $918,000.
It's because of the water purchases.
Okay.
The commitments that were made several years ago, you having to buy these minimums. That's really the main reason for it.
Is that
Like Tri-County and some of those that you back in the day, I remember being here when that was shortly after that was done. That committed to needing a certain amount in future years, and the building hasn't caught up to that yet.
Okay. Is that a normal number on a yearly basis?
Yeah, it's even under.
Last year it was a small positive. So this year, if you break it out, the water has always
So one thing the audit's going to take into consideration is also the depreciation, which is something we don't typically budget for. That's going to be a number that is included. Yes, so
Appreciation charge.
while it may show 900,000, it's different when you take that into consideration. So that's, like I said, not something that we typically budget for. We also do have quite a large fund balance within the water and sewer fund. If you remember, we had built that up over several years in anticipation of some of the capital projects that we're doing. So that's overall, the fund is very well, has a significant amount in reserves and is doing well overall. So we're still investing in the capital projects we're planning, and we'll still have a very significant fund balance even after the Minter Road water line and the new water tower that we're purchasing.
So part of that 918 has to do with infrastructure upgrades. I mean,
Infrastructure,
plan stuff.
yeah.
A lot of the line from Tri-County.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, the water purchase is significant with that. We also, some of the debt that we have related to Tri-County is being paid off. So that will go down. I believe it started this year and will be completely paid off within the next couple of years. We do have, they have a maintenance and service fee for some of that, but it will go down.
Yeah, and for the last 2 years, the debt that he's talking about, so our debt schedule actually went up significantly for those last couple of years.
Yes.
So we knew that, but we didn't want to go back and adjust water rates up to make that, because we do have the fund balance. So we just decided to keep it level and not increase the rate, knowing that that debt's going to go off, and then that'll flatten everything out.
So this 900,000 was planned for.
Yeah, we knew we were going to have, between the water purchases and then just our debt service payments for the last couple of years of that debt schedule, we knew we're going up.
Wasn't the,
It was 928 prior year.
What was it? I'm sorry.
It was 928.
Loss or
yeah.
Okay.
The prior year.
Keep us from having a water shortage, we had to guarantee we'd buy so much going forward, and we haven't hit that.
and didn't we sell some of that back?
You did.
We
You sold some of
to
that back.
Jackson Water.
Yes. Blue Springs, I believe, took some of your capacity. And that did help some.
Any other questions? Nope, see none. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate the relationship that we've had.
Next item on the agenda is resolutions. The first resolution is Resolution 2633, resolution by the Board of Aldermen, the City of Green Valley, authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with Vireo LLC for park master planning services for the property at the northeast corner of Duncan and Dillingham Roads.
I move that we approve resolution 26-33.
We have a motion. Have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Discussion.
Discussion, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, so this is, obviously, a couple years ago, or a year ago, I guess, we bought that land at Dillingham and Duncan for a future park. So this agreement, will be for kind of the master planning of that site. So we can get input in and make sure we know what amenities fit best within that site. So Vireo is a company that's very well experienced in that. We think will be a good partner going forward. So just want to get moving on that.
Ken, will there be public hearings and stuff on that?
Yeah, and part of this proposal, it lists out a number of meetings and different processes to gain input.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Next resolution is Resolution 26-34, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen, City of Green Valley, authorizing the city administrator to execute an agreement with Advanced Asphalt Paving and Concrete LLC for the 2026 pavement maintenance program.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept resolution R 26-34.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, we went out for paving services as we do every year. And at the end of that program, Advanced Asphalt Paving and Concrete was the company that came back as the lowest and best bid for that. So we'd like to get moving on that and get those CIP roads knocked out here.
Any other discussion?
Is Foxtail included in that?
It is not in this one, no. Yeah, it is one we are looking at here. And what we tried to do too with this one was look at the roads that we had already had in the CIP, knowing that people were counting on those roads haven't been done. But we did just go through that road inventory of sorts. So we'll kind of make that switch over here for next year to make sure we stay up on that 5-year rotation.
Is that CIP plan and the analysis that we had done, is that publicly available for people? Like, we get a lot of questions on this topic,
Yeah, I mean, it's a report that can be requested.
but it's not out on a website anywhere. They have to request it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really I don't know. I don't think we have anything out there right now. It's a bunch of numbers, but
It might be useful if we get just a small bullet list of these are the roads that are in mind that we can point people to instead of saying, go request from the city.
so what we do have is the CIP that lists a 5-year outlook of what roads we think are going to be
That's out there.
done in that time. Yes. And we will be going through that update. So it kind of plays a year ahead basically, but it's a 5-year outlook.
Just from a community outreach and communication.
And that's why for this year, we wanted to kind of stick with that versus changing up some of those roads that were shown that maybe with this new report wouldn't have been done just because I knew people were counting on that.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Next resolution on the agenda is Resolution 26-36, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Green Valley authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with Quality Custom Construction for concrete services.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve Resolution R 26-36.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, similar to the asphalt side of it, this is the concrete work that would go along with that. So any of the roads that are getting repaved, this would account for the curb work as well as sidewalk and then just ancillary concrete work that we have on the list to be done. And this is the same contractor that we have used for the last couple of years that we've been happy with. So
Ken, while we're talking concrete, Kirby running along there by the airport, the center seam's just coming apart. I mean, it's 3 or 4, 5, 6 inches in places and way deep.
okay.
I mean, that won't fall under asphalt, so I'm not sure how that will take care of that, but water's getting in it and freezing and it's pushing it out.
Okay.
Any other discussion? No. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Next item up on the agenda is ordinances.
This will be the first read of Bill Number B26-10. This is an ordinance approving the city administrator to enter into an option agreement with IPP Truman LLC for pipeline easement, right-of-way, and temporary construction easement.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the first reading of Bill Number B26-10 and bring it back for its second reading by title only at our next regular session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this is kind of an unusual one that we don't get too often, but essentially there is the need for gas line work to be done along Seymour Road, and the city does have a parcel of land that's there. It's actually designated as park property. It is mostly floodway and floodplain, so not overly buildable. But anyway, this request is basically to go for the rights to decide to go for an easement. So if approved, it'd be a set amount of dollars for the rights basically, and then a 60-day window for them to decide if they want the permanent easement. And if so, there's a dollar figure in there for that. But it's not going to affect anything we would be doing in the future. It just runs along the western side of Seymour, just runs north-south there. So it'd be a 30-foot permanent easement. something that the board needs to, or has to approve to be in effect.
Refresh my memory, where's Seymour at?
So if you go on McQuarrie along the outer road there, and when it goes to turn to the north past Creekside Village, that turns into Seymour. And when it runs north, it goes from McQuarrie to Seymour.
So almost out of town there.
Yeah. So Seymour is the road on the east side, is like the sewer treatment plant.
Gotcha, all right.
And they're wanting on the west side.
Correct.
Okay. Any other discussion? Nope. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Next item up on the agenda is the city attorney report. The next item up on the agenda is the city administrator and staff reports.
I'll start with Mr. Craig.
The only thing I'd like to say tonight is that the audit does take quite a bit of time, so I always like to appreciate and recognize the staff that went through that process and contributed to that. We definitely have very good trends through 2025 with those continue through 2026. And I guess there was one other thing. We have begun the annual budget process, and for the next fiscal year, 2027, the departments are reviewing their current year expenditures, evaluating their upcoming needs, and just preparing their budget request. And we anticipate meeting with them next month and continuing that process through the end of summer and beginning of fall. That's all that I have for my report.
Davies.
Mayor and Board, just real quick, a few updates. One of the capital projects in the 2026 fiscal year was the dredging of Butterfly Trail Lake. That RFP was issued about a month and a half ago. Those proposals are due tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So we're anxious to see what contractors have submitted proposals for that project so we can move forward with that. Also, just a quick update on the Buckner-Targany Trail. We have a final walkthrough with the contractor tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. There are a few items that the contractor does need to address, but for all case and purposes, the project is completed. We're happy about that. If you all recall, we did a comprehensive plan back in 2024. Part of the results from the citizens was walkability, was paved trails, whether that's a mile or less or a mile or above. So this project is one of those things where we're listening to our residents on what their needs are. Several of those questions in that comprehensive plan, which was also a Parks Master Plan, was what are the needs of the community and what are we lacking in the community and what are some of the most top recreational components that they would like to see in our community, and trails consistently was listed at the top. Another thing real quick, in the top 10 of the 30 to 35 possible responses that residents could provide were pickleball courts. And our pickleball courts here in the park here at Armstrong Park, they've been open for about 2.5 months. And we have seen a massive use of those courts. And we also have 2 cornhole courts as well. We've seen kids from elementary to middle school age all the way up to senior citizens utilizing them. I may have mentioned that we also provide paddles, pickleballs, and cornhole bags at the community center at no cost. And we've had to actually buy another 2 sets of paddles and pickleballs just because of the younger kids that are coming up to play and participate. So again, that's a part of us following the responses from our community through our comprehensive plan and our Parks Master Plan. Just like on tonight's agenda, as we look at master planning for the Duncan Dillingham Park, there's going to be 2 community forums where residents will be involved. There will be online surveys where they can provide feedback, because ultimately we want to provide what this community wants. So kudos to park staff. We've got our park superintendent in the audience here. Kudos to our park board, all Grain Valley residents. We have a 30-plus member on the park board on the front row right here, as well as kudos to you all residents of Grain Valley in facilitating these endeavors and providing the best services we can provide to the community.
That's it for staff reports.
Next item on the agenda is Board of Aldermen reports and comments. Alderman Bray.
I spoke with Ken a little bit before the meeting regarding my request for May 11th, and I apologize. I've had some technical issues with my email, so I didn't get your response. So I'll just add that basically what I'm after, Chief, on that audit is access times, who accessed it, why they accessed it. I understand there's ongoing investigations and you can't disclose that. I get that. But we could have a way to go back and follow up on those once they happen to know that that access was legitimate. Given everything that's been going on with Flock and the amount of pushback that I'm seeing around town, I think that's something this board needs to seriously consider. Along with that, after reviewing the contract with Flock and doing some research, I know some other cities have negotiated a bit. They use a little bit of language in their contract that we have with them. I mean, obviously they got to comply with subpoenas and warrants and that sort of thing for outside agencies, like if FBI, whatever, State Highway Patrol wants to see what's in our city. They have to give that to them by law. But they also have a good faith clause, so as long as they believe that they're acting in good faith, I think that's a little bit broad. I would like to see something in the contract that they have to at least notify us that they're handing our residents' data out to outside agencies. So if the board would be interested in taking that discussion up at some point and try to move this a little bit forward. I'm not opposed to Flock as long as we're transparent with it and we're using it responsibly. There's been a lot of kind of shady stuff around the country with it, and I'm not real big on, even as an IT guy, I understand the concerns around AI and what can be done with that, and what can be done with that really without us even knowing that it's happening. Even if you go down to the metadata, that gets pretty detailed if you start sticking a bunch of stuff together. So I think this is something this board definitely needs to take up over the next month or so, see what we can do to ease some of the concerns around town. Outside of that, getting a lot of complaints about motorized vehicles on the trail over here, Blue Branch. Again, four-wheelers and dirt bikes and whatnot. I don't know if we need a police presence out there a couple nights a week just to make sure or what. And then also the ordinances that I've found, I haven't looked at park regulations yet, but e-bikes, I know we've discussed this a couple times. We probably need to nail that down in ordinance.
Yeah, right now, as it relates to recreational trails, there's no use of motorized vehicles other than a motorized ADA.
So not even e-bikes or e-scooters.
As it stands right now, no. But that's something Chief and I have been talking about with the influx of e-bikes. There's 3 different categories in e-bikes. You have motorized scooters that also fluctuate in speed as well too. So that's
Someone mentioned that someone was out there the other day, I guess, on a full-on like 650cc street bike cutting through. So, like, we gotta do better, Grand Valley. Residence-wise, we can't be doing that stuff.
Yeah, and again, we can't have anybody out there 24 hours a day. Transportation trails, a mile and a half. So it's really hard to try to catch that. But as far as an ordinance is concerned, we're trying to look at including that language, but also putting up signage that reflects the new language and kind of following along with what Eastern Jackson County has, whether that's Lee Summit, Blue Springs Parks and Rec. So it doesn't matter if you get on one of our trails or at Blue Springs or at Jackson County Parks plus Rec, everybody's consistent.
Yeah. And I know the whole e-bike and e-scooter thing is kind of a gray area. Is it a bike or is it not a bike? And they're getting so popular, or they've been so popular for a minute now. So yeah, we probably need to lock something down. That's all I got.
Alderman Knox.
Yeah, I had, there was a conversation on Grand Valley's Facebook page about the speeds on Broadway, especially when the train is taking up residency across Maine. And the lady said she wasn't having much luck with getting anything done, so I reached out to her and told her to call, and she did. And at the same time, there was a lady on Broadway that saw that, and she reached out to me, and I directed them over to be able to get the speed bumps installed. I don't know if they did or not, but I gave them the information needed there. But what I'd ask Chief is, when the train decides to take up residency for their 30 and 40 minute deal, if we can get officers to kind of move over and keep an eye on Walnut and Broadway, because we're talking speeds at 50, 60 mile an hour coming down that 15 mile an hour speed limit. I mean, they're flying. The stop sign's almost non-existent, so if we know we got a long delay on that train, maybe getting some officers to move over there and curb some of this. I see it on my street and I'm dead end on each end, so that's all I have.
I will say, like, as a former officer in Green Valley, it's hard to, like, that was like one of my motives. Like, I really, because it's always been an issue. And like when I was a cop here, I tried to nail the people who are going 50, 60 miles an hour down Broadway or Harris or Front or wherever. But it is hard.
Oh, I know it's hard to move that way, but
Yeah.
When they're trying to beat the train to the next stop or next intersection, probably. Alderman Lindbergh,
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Alderman Myers.
Just, I would like to give a shout out to the parks and all the progress we've made, meeting those goals that you just mentioned in your report. I think they're a great addition to the city. I've said that before. And just a shout out to the city staff for all the work they did on the audit. That's it.
Alderman Skinner.
Just a quick note on the e-bikes. I mean, I get it's you know, especially the ones that go really fast, but I will say it is refreshing as somebody who, you know, enjoys the sidewalks and the walking paths on the north side. It's refreshing to see kids out and about. I mean, they're not pedaling and probably getting a lot of exercise, I guess, but they're not sitting in their basement playing Xbox, which is, it is refreshing to see that. I'm amazed by the amount of, like, I mean, at this point, they're like herds of kids on these things. You know, I get there probably has to be some sort of restrictions and stuff, but I think we should keep that in mind as well.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Alderman Sol.
Just reiterate on the trails down south. Like he stole my thunder on the complaints of people on motorcycles and stuff on the trail. I don't know if there's a plan that we can set up, or I mean, other safety measures like ballards or something that we can put out, or more clear signage. I don't know. Like there's, I mean, other than actual patrolling it, and it's kind of hard to fix the issue with a quick fix, but just see if we can maybe get a plan on what we can do to cut down that.
Anything else?
I don't know.
Maybe like chief on a e-bike or something.
Well, I mean, years ago we did start bike patrol, and I don't know, maybe we can get one of our officers like on bike patrol or something.
Like a
Do
razor.
they still sell Segways? Is that still a thing?
I don't know, but
We've digressed.
Blue
Sorry.
Springs does the training for it, so right next door.
Okay. Next up is the mayor's report. I have nothing at this time. Ken, do we have a need for a closed session?
No.
No need for closed session. I move we call this meeting adjourned.